Hey you guys, welcome back to my channel. I am very excited about today's video because we are going to be talking all about my makeup wish list. This is a tag video in collaboration with my good friend here on YouTube, Sarah Hubler. She contacted me a couple of weeks ago with this idea and I was so excited about it because I always have a wish list, whether it be on paper or just kind of inside my head, because as a makeup lover, although it is tempting to buy all of the makeup out there, I'm also a realist and I can't possibly do that. So that is what we'll be doing today, talking all about the details of my makeup wish list. I will of course link Sarah's video down below. Be sure to go check it out, and if you haven't yet, check out her channel. She is amazing. I love her content. She does such great reviews. She is an eyeshadow palette lover like myself. She also does a lot of very practical kind of makeup videos on her channel. She does some shop my stashes. She talks in detail about her beauty budget and what she spends on makeup in a month, which number one I think is so brave, and number two I think is so important because it's easy to talk about the makeup that we love, but sometimes it's not often mentioned what the price tag is behind that makeup and what it really costs when we buy the things that we want to buy. It's expensive and can sometimes get us into trouble if we're not careful, so I love that she goes over that. So go give her some love. A special welcome to those of you that are new to my channel, especially those of you maybe visiting from Sarah's. Hope that you'll stick around, hit that subscribe button. And with that said, let's dive right into the wish list tag. Let's kick things off with number one, and that is, what is the oldest makeup product on your wish list? And the one that I came up with is the Milani eyeshadow primer. This has been on my wish list for so incredibly long. I think Emily Noel started raving about the Milani eyeshadow primer like 5 or 6 years ago, and I still have not picked it up, which surprises even me because it's affordable, it's easily accessible. I think one of the small reasons I haven't is because my Wet n Wild eyeshadow primer is still kicking it. It has not very much left in here, but I basically am waiting for this thing to die, and I have been waiting for this thing to run out for about a year now, thinking that it will any day, and there's still product inside here. And I told myself when this one runs out, I'll try out the Milani one, but it's still going strong. I mean, I still am thinking any day because it just doesn't feel like there's much left in there, but every time I squeeze it, something comes out. I've even heard the Milani eyeshadow primer talked about from some of you guys, so it's definitely one that is still on my wish list, and I will at some point get around to picking it up. Number two, what is the newest product on your wish list? This one would have to be the BH Cosmetics Avocado Palette. I actually spent a good amount of time on BH Cosmetics website yesterday after I got an email notification from them that they have a sale going on most everything on their website. You guys might realize by now, if you have been watching my channel, that even though I like neutral looks, I have an attraction to green eyeshadows, and not even necessarily because I think they look good on me. There's just something about green colored eyeshadows that I really like. I'm relatively new to the BH Cosmetics bandwagon. I tried them out for the first time just this last holiday season, but I have to say I am seriously impressed. The more I use them, the more I realize how great they are, especially for the price. And what I'm loving about the looks of this palette is that you have a good range of greens in here. You have some darker greens, some lighter greens, some kind of blue teal colored greens, but also some army or grungy looking greens as well. It looks like a beautiful palette. I think I'd probably get quite a bit of use out of it, relatively speaking. I have a lot of eyeshadow palettes, so I don't get quite a bit of use out of any of my eyeshadow palettes because I just have too many. But as a collector, this is one that I would really love to collect. Full price, the palette's $18, which I don't think is a bad price considering what you're getting inside the palette. I think the only reason I would hold off from picking it up right now, even though this palette is on sale right now for about I think it was $14.40, that's only like 20% off, and BH Cosmetics has very good sales quite often. So my guess is if I hold off for 6 or 7 or 8 months, maybe for Black Friday time, this palette will probably be way cheaper than even $14. I'm guessing it'll be like 50% off. So I'm kind of on the fence. Do I pick it up now and pay a little bit more, or wait 6 months just to save $4, which now that I think about it, that's kind of ridiculous. So time will tell. We'll see if I end up taking the plunge because I think that sale ends this weekend. It's possible that might be coming home with me very soon, but I don't know. We'll see. Number three, wish list item you keep forgetting about. So this was one of the questions that I posed to Sarah. She had come up with most of the questions on this tag and wanted to get my input on a couple. And I'm glad that she kind of understood where I was coming from with this question, because as someone that constantly has their eye turned by new makeup coming out, but also is a realist, a little bit more practical, I can't possibly pick it all up. So there are things that I get excited about, then I don't pick them up right away for whatever reason, and then I just kind of forget about them. There's actually quite a few products I could probably put on this list, but the one I'm putting at the top of my list Wishlist is the Josie Maran Vibrancy Foundation. I actually mentioned this in a Wishlist video, I think over a year ago, and I still have not picked up this foundation. And I think there's two reasons for that. The first one is the price tag. Higher end foundations, I'm always a little bit reluctant to try because if I don't like them, I know I'm not very likely to take them back, which I know you can do. I don't know how I feel about that, especially because I'd likely be doing a review on it on YouTube. But I hate for a $45 foundation to just sit in my drawer and not get used because there was something I didn't like about it. But the other reason I haven't picked this one up is I've heard such conflicting things about this foundation, and I've heard these conflicting things for years. This foundation has been around for a while, and it seems like anytime I mention it or other people mention it, anytime I hear someone bring it up, people either love it or they really, really don't like it at all. We'll see what happens with that one. It seems like every 6 or 7 months it kind of goes back and forth on my wish list as far as what I really am wanting to spend my money on, but I haven't kicked it off my wish list yet, so one of these days I'll get around to trying it out. Number 4, product you are glad you removed from your wish list. For this one, I have to go with the Norvina palettes. Now, the only one of those 3 palettes that I was interested in is the orange one that had the butterflies on it because I felt like that one had the most neutral shades inside it. While this palette is more expensive, obviously, than ABH's traditional eyeshadow palettes, it's $60 versus, I think, $42. And I know Norvina is technically a different brand now, or sister brand or something, but at $60, although that is more expensive, you're really getting a lot of shadows inside here. But I ended up not picking up that palette, and I think I'm happy with that decision. However, the new Norvina palette that just came out kind of has my interest. The swatches of this palette look so beautiful. Now, there are some bright pinks in there, which are not really my thing, but there's not a ton of bright pinks, and the lid shades in this palette look stunning. But again, $60, that's just, it's a little high for me. So we'll wait and see. My guess is I'll end up passing on that one. But if you guys have tried it, if you absolutely think I need it, feel free to give me a little push. We'll see what happens. Number 5, wish list item that you can't get near where you live. Now, this one was a little bit difficult because living in the US, I know I'm fortunate to have access to a lot more beauty brands than maybe other people throughout the world have access to. But also when I'm watching other YouTubers that are not in the US, maybe in the UK or in Australia, New Zealand, when they mention products that are only available to them there, I don't usually take a mental note of those or jot them down because I know I just won't be able to get them. But I do remember one highlighter mentioned by Arna Elaine. She is an Australian creator. Well, actually, I think she's from New Zealand, but she lives in Australia. But one of the highlighters she mentioned in her year-end favorites was the Savvy Baked Highlighter in Pure Pearl. I'm assuming it wasn't very accessible to me because it remains on my wish list, but boy, did it look beautiful on her fair skin. And she said it's a dupe for MAC's Double Gleam, which is probably why I never ended up picking up, because if it's going to cost me a lot of money to ship it, I might as well just get the one from MAC. Number 6, this is a fun one. Wish list item you probably will never buy. I had to go with the Pat McGrath Mothership palette, and specifically palette number 5. I think number 2 and number 5 both look stunning. I just don't know that I'll ever be able to justify $125 for 10 shades. That is so expensive. This palette looks so beautiful. I will try and insert the swatches here for you guys as well because, oh man, this is just a color story. I know I would use every single shade inside this palette. Still doesn't justify to me $125. Maybe as my channel grows and I start reviewing more makeup and I turn into a bougie YouTuber, which I don't think will ever happen. But if it did, maybe future Mandy rolling in the dough could justify that, but I don't know. Something about $125 for 10 shades just seems outrageous to me. Number 7, wish list item you'll buy next. Now, this one's tricky to mention just one, so I have 3 things that I'm going to mention that I think will very likely be amongst my next makeup purchases. The first one is going to be Sydney Grace single eyeshadows. From what I have heard, Sydney Grace does a sale in July, or has done a sale in July in the past, and with July being just around the corner, if that ends up happening, if their single shadows do go on sale, I am definitely planning to pick some up. I'm already building up my cart right now, and I am so excited about it. You guys probably know of my absolute love for the one palette that I've tried out from them, so I can't wait to pick up some more. Another item on my wish list I kind of already mentioned, it's the Avocado Toast palette from BH Cosmetics. There is a possibility I might end up picking that one up this weekend. We'll see. And the last one on my list is the Juicy Pang Water Blushers from Yes Style. I'm wearing this one on my cheeks today, and look at my cheeks. I mean, I just feel like anytime I wear this, not just on camera, but even in person, like I tap this on my cheeks and I just suddenly feel 5 years younger than I actually am. It just makes this very dry area of my skin just look plump and healthy. I absolutely love these. I think they are amazing, and I'm very excited to pick up a couple more shades. I love this shade, the shade Guava. I think it's a good everyday, goes with anything, would work for pretty much anyone with medium to fair skin, but they are definitely at the top of my list. Number 8, wish list item you added because of YouTube. There's probably a million things I could put on this. In fact, I'd say most things that go on my wish list in some way were influenced by YouTube, but the one that I have to put at the top of the list is the P. Louise eyeshadow base. I've heard lots of people talk about it on YouTube. Kathleen Lights has raved about it for years, but also I've had several of you guys mention your absolute love for this eyeshadow primer, and I hear you, and one of these days I will do it. You can get this on Morphe's website. It is $15, and I am very curious to try it. $15 is a far cry from, what is this, $4.50, but I would also love if this had a little bit of coverage in it, and from everything that I've heard, the P. Louise eyeshadow base does have some coverage in it as well. So that is definitely on my list, and one of these days, hopefully before this one and the Milani one that I'm going to buy next run out, which probably won't be for 3 years, I will give it a try. Number 9, the most affordable product on my wish list. I think that would have to be the e.l.f. Wow Brow Eyebrow Pomade or Gel. I've heard some really good things about that from you guys. It's $4, which is so affordable, and I am getting more and more into trying different things out for my brows. I'm kind of still on the hunt for that perfect brow gel that's just going to make my brows look amazing. I know part of that is just technique, learning and getting better at doing my brows, but a part of me is like, if I had the right product, maybe they would do themselves. So I want to try this one out. I'm hoping it will maybe show up at my Walmart or Target, and if it does, I will definitely give it a try. Number 10, last one, the most expensive item on my wish list. So I first wanted to mention anything from Charlotte Tilbury because she is a brand that, she's one of the few brands that I allow to get away with her ridiculous price tag. She won me over big time with the Hollywood Flawless Filter. That thing has the best packaging I have ever seen. It is the most beautiful formula I have ever tried as far as like a complexion product goes. So I am interested to try out a couple of her other things. Her contour, her highlight wand have my interest. Her lip products I've mentioned have my interest. But I'm going to push those to the side and mention the Metropolis palette by Natasha Denona. It is still on my wish list. It is $129, which I would never pay that price for. But I am so interested in that eyeshadow palette. In fact, as I was preparing to do this video and looking at that palette online again, looking at the swatches, I am fawning over it all over again. I love the color story, the different shades and tones of greens, the browns, the golds in there. It looks so beautiful, but I'm waiting for one of two things to happen. Either for it to go on sale, like 50% off sale, which I know probably won't happen for like 3 years, if ever, or number 2, for somebody to dupe it. I'm specifically hoping Alter Ego maybe will dupe that palette. I haven't seen or heard anything yet. That's just kind of a pipe dream that I have, because if they did, I would absolutely give it a try. I haven't actually tried Alter Ego yet. They are on my list of brands to try in the coming year, and I'm really hoping they'll try their hand at the Metropolis palette. If not, I might end up picking up their Biba palette dupe, because that is another palette that I sort of have on my wish list. But if I had a choice between the Biba and the Metropolis, I think I'd go for the Metropolis palette. And with that, you guys, that is it for the wish list tag. I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. Any of you creators out there, I'd love to see you do this tag as well. I will list all of the questions down below for you. Be sure to tag me if you end up doing it. And for the rest of you, I'd love to hear 1 or 2 of your answers from the tag down below. Thank you all so much for stopping by. Thank you to Sarah for collaborating with me on this video and inviting me to do this tag. One more reminder to go check out her video and her channel, and another reminder to subscribe to mine before you leave if you haven't done that. And that is all for today. Thank you again, you guys. I will see you in my next one. Bye. Yeah, this is a I will of course link Sarah's video down below. Whoa, a lot of spit came out of my mouth. Probably saw that one. Oh boy, we've got a sun spill. In the summertime, in the morning, the sun is directly outside my window, and I'm in the basement. We don't have any window covering, so I have taken literally sheets out of a college ruled notebook, taped them all together, and plastered them to the window. You guys should see this setup I have going on. I know this looks cute. Trust me, what I am saying is not cute. Please ignore the little light leak on my neck. Actually, no. Let's fix it. Tape. Paper. Where'd it go? There it is. Good as new.